You've heard of the Sierra Madre Casino. We all have. The legend, the curses, foolishness about it lying in the middle of the city of the dead, buried beneath a blood-red cloud. A bright, shining monument luring treasure hunters to their doom. It's still out there, in the wastes, preserved, just waiting for someone to crack it open. But getting to it, that's not the hard part. It's letting go.
Dead Money is great. It's the strongest of the New Vegas DLCs, and I consider it to be some of the best content in the entire series. From the combat, to the visuals, to the story and characters, the whole experience is tightly designed and engaging. The combat pushes you out of your comfort zone and into a harsh environment where you have to rely on your skills and character build. The Sierra Madre itself functions like a fiendish super dungeon, packed with tough enemies and littered with deadly traps. Visually, the Sierra Madre perfectly sells its identity as a pre-war paradise turned cursed hellscape. The blood-red sky and skeletal remains of fallen treasure hunters tell the story of its downfall, while glimpses of its faded luxury hint at the grandeur it once had. The DLC's main themes aren't subtle, but that works in its favor. Ideas of greed and obsession are woven into every character, and even into the Madre itself. Each has their own history, and through your actions they can learn to let go and begin again. Dead Money combines punishing combat, haunting visuals, and a tightly woven story about greed and its consequences into one of the best experiences in the entire Fallout series. And I'm going to talk about how much I love it. Dead Money cranks up the difficulty compared to the base game New Vegas. It takes the gameplay you know and reshapes it into something closer to a survival horror experience. The biggest way it accomplishes this is by stripping you of your gear. For most players, by the time you tackle Dead Money, your courier is going to be a fairly high level. The DLC itself recommends level 20+, and you'll probably have a good set of gear. A trusty gun or two that you've come to rely on, a sturdy set of armor that offers solid protection. Hell, maybe even a suit of power armor. You're also likely to be stocked up on stimpaks and chems to keep you alive and give you an edge in combat. Dead Money takes all of that away. When you wake up in the Madre, your gear is gone, leaving you with nothing but an unarmored jumpsuit, the holo rifle, and a handful of microfusion cells. Oh, and of course the explosive collar locked around your neck. From there, the DLC forces you to make do with whatever scraps you can scavenge from the ruins of the Sierra Madre. A few rounds of 357 here, a single stimpak there. In a lot of ways, it mirrors the early hours of the game all over again, pulling you back to the Good Springs opening, fighting powder gangers and raiders, where every shot mattered and most of your healing came from stuffing your face with cans of cram and packs of Salisbury steaks. The weapon selection is also very limited, with only a few types of each class of weapon to be found across the ruins. Armor is even more sparse, with only a couple sets to be found that provide any decent protection. The vending machines you can find across the Madre can help supplement you by creating items and ammo in exchange for chips, but most of the more useful items are unavailable until you find the required vending machine code. These codes are scattered across the Madre, and can be easily overlooked by a player barely hanging on to life in the unrelenting dungeon. Although Dead Money takes all your nice stuff, it leaves you with powerful tools and expects you to use them to the fullest. Your character build. You still have your skills and perks to rely on, and in the Madre, your build is what keeps you alive. With supplies so limited, playing to your build's strengths is how you progress through Dead Money. A high-luck, critical hit build with perks like Finesse and Better Criticals can make the most of the little ammo you find. Energy weapon builds gain a major advantage with the holo rifle, one of the most powerful energy weapons in the entire game. Melee or unarmed builds tend to have a smoother experience, free from ammo concerns and supported by the plethora of close-range weapons littering the Sierra Madre. Even secondary skills will more than pull their weight. Repair, along with perks like jury-rigging, lets you keep your gear in far better condition than the often worn state you'll find it in. Medicine and survival both increase the effectiveness of stimpaks and food, while survival also allows you to craft additional aid items, and potent poisons that benefit melee builds. All of this helps you stretch the limited loot you'll find while exploring the Madre. Dead Money doesn't try to flatten its difficulty by making all builds equal. Instead, it allows some to have an easier time than others. As mentioned, melee and unarmed builds tend to have much smoother sailing than most. Their weapons are easy to find, require no ammo, and can make short work of the villa's inhabitants. Ranged builds, on the other hand, face a tougher challenge with the limited weapon selection and the constant need for ammo to feed them. The unnatural durability of the Madre's hooded assailants also forces gun builds to spend more ammo than usual, something energy weapons and explosive builds can often avoid through disintegration or dismemberment. You'll need to make the most of your items and skills during your visit to the Sierra Madre, because the Madre itself is your greatest enemy. The place is a death trap. Its floors are littered with bear traps, ready to cripple legs, and landmines primed to dismember anyone not watching their step. Tripwires and pressure plates hidden in doorways can trigger all manner of hazards. Rigged shotguns can gut-shot an unwary player, taking away a chunk of health. Or they can be found aimed at fire extinguishers, set to burst them into deadly explosions. But the most infamous traps in the Madre are seemingly the most mundane. Across the villa, you'll come across speakers from the Madre's old PA system, as well as pre-war radios. Normally harmless, these devices now emit a signal that interferes with the bomb collar around your neck. When in range, a rapid beeping begins. It grows faster and faster, and if you can't get out of range or disable the source within 10 seconds, your visit to the Sierra Madre ends very suddenly and very explosively, as the collar detonates and takes the courier's head with it. The moment the beeping starts, you rush to find the source, frantically scanning for a speaker or radio. The panic often makes you ignore other traps or enemies as you scramble to stop the noise, adding to the chaos. I love the sense of urgency this mechanic creates and the extra layer of thinking it demands. You often have to pass through areas filled with speakers and radios, forcing you to carefully consider your approach when you have so little time to deal with the collar. Another ever-present hazard is the cloud. Covering the entire Sierra Madre in a blood-red mist, it's a potent toxin of pre-war design that burns the lungs and seeps into the skin. In many places, the cloud is heavily concentrated, and entering those areas distorts your vision and quickly drains your health. Like the speakers, you're sometimes forced to pass through it to make progress, or you might choose to risk it in search of ammo and supplies, once again presenting a risk-reward decision. Do you push into the cloud and take damage, hoping you'll come out with more than you spent healing afterwards? The cloud becomes even more dangerous when combined with other traps. Blurring your vision, it can make you miss tripwires or bear traps, and a crippled limb inside it can easily mean death as you struggle to limp back to the relatively clearer air. These traps and hazards give the Sierra Madre a sense of malevolence, as if the place itself is working towards your death, while reinforcing the DLC's tense survival gameplay, where every bullet and stimpack truly counts. The traps and the cloud are only part of what awaits you in the streets of the Madre. When you first arrive, the place seems abandoned, with only the skeletons of other unfortunate treasure seekers hinting at past life. But as you move farther from the central plaza, and the relative safety of the holographic woman's blue glow, you begin to notice things, and start feeling like something is out there watching you. Then, you catch movement out of the corner of your eye, a shambling, human-shaped figure slipping past a doorway. Soon enough, you'll come face to face with them. The Ghost People. These mysterious denizens of the Sierra Madre are one of the major threats you'll encounter as you navigate its streets. Clad in ragged hazmat suits, with glowing eyes, these zombie-like enemies are fierce and difficult to kill. Their unnatural resilience means that if you reduce their health to zero without dismembering or disintegrating them, they'll simply get back up, forcing you to spend more precious ammo putting them down again, hopefully for good that time. Here, some builds struggle more than others. Melee builds can keep whacking away to ensure they stay down, while energy weapons and explosives may avoid the need to double tap if they're lucky. It's also one of the rare moments where the Bloody Mess perk's violent death effect is actually helpful instead of making it harder to just loot through piles of gore. The weapons the Ghost People carry are crude and brutal, Ghost trappers wield fist weapons made from bear traps to tear chunks from their prey. Ghost harvesters stab and slash with knife spears and can throw them from a distance. Ghost seekers lob crippling gas bombs before closing in to finish the job. Your first encounters with the ghost people usually pit you against one or two at a time, and you likely won't have too much trouble dealing with them as long as you make your shots count. But as you push deeper into the villa, their packs grow to 3 or 4, and with numbers they become all the more deadly. The Madre's stillness can shatter in an instant when a group descends on you. Gas bombs erupt, and before you can fully gather yourself, they're already on top of you, tearing you apart. The ghost people feel almost endless, emerging from the depths of the Madre, their hoarse, inhuman breathing echoing through the streets as they relentlessly hunt you down. There's one more type of NPC you'll find at the Madre, but they're kind of more of a hazard than a traditional enemy. Glowing blue holograms appear throughout the resort. The first you'll see hovers over the fountain, but others are scattered around. Some are silent merchants, still tending their stores 2 centuries later. They'll trade pre-war cash for a few odds and ends, never saying a word as you deal with them. These holograms, while a little unsettling, are harmless. The security holograms patrolling the other parts of the Madre are anything but. These ghostly guards still watch their post, and if you approach, their calm blue glow shifts to yellow and then to red as you get too close. Once red, they'll unleash a barrage of laser fire that can tear through your entire health bar in moments. Dealing with them is difficult because they're completely immune to damage, forcing you to find other solutions. If you locate a controlling terminal, you can alter their patrol routes, opening one path while blocking another, or sometimes disable or turn them non-hostile. You can also search for their emitters, usually hidden nearby but out of sight. These can be shut down with sufficient repair skill, or simply destroyed with gunfire, if you can spare the ammo. Of course, you can always try to rush past them, but how much health and how many healing items are you willing to sacrifice? Again, the limited ammo, and especially the scarcity of healing items in the Madre, greatly ramps up both the challenge and the tension. Every interaction in Dead Money is an exchange. Every enemy you defeat, and every hit you take, drains your small pool of resources. Did you miss a trap? Now you're dealing with a crippled leg or arm. Do you use a stim pack or a doctor's bag now? Or hold off for later? And those Sierra Madre chips you've been collecting, what do you spend them on? Have you even found any useful vending machine codes yet? One of the best encounters in Dead Money comes in the lead up to triggering the Gala Event and its aftermath. It brings together many of the mechanics at once. To start the event, you have to reach a bell tower deep within Salida del Sol, a journey that takes you through hordes of ghost people while you dodge traps of every kind. The route is maze-like and winding, making it easy to get turned around or end up running in circles. Once you activate the Gala, you have to make a mad dash back to the main square in the casino. But the return path is now swarming with fresh packs of ghost people, shambling out of the cloud, shaken awake by all the sudden noise. Triggering the Gala Event also activates many speakers throughout the villa, turning previously safe areas into deadly interference zones that can set off your collar. It serves as a crescendo for the DLC's first act, masterfully blending its mechanics into a single gauntlet you must survive. The way Dead Money reshapes gameplay through increased difficulty and scarce resources makes it some of the most engaging combat in New Vegas. The villa is harsh and unforgiving for players who aren't prepared for that level of challenge, but that very challenge is what makes the DLC shine. As for the casino itself, I'll get to it when discussing the story and characters. For now, I want to briefly talk about Dead Money's visuals. The Sierra Madre is hell. Every part of its visuals leans into that idea, presenting it as a kind of hell on earth. Everything about it signals mortal danger, a place of peril for anyone who dares to enter. The cloud engulfs the entire resort, blotting out the sun and turning the sky into a rusted orange sheet. What little light filters down into the villa is a dull red, casting everything in tones of dried blood and muddy browns. Thick, rust-colored pockets of the cloud choke plazas and alleyways, while traps fill the streets and halls, waiting for the unwary. Demons seem to roam this hell in the form of the ghost people, their endless ranks of cloaked figures shuffling through the streets in search of mortals to devour. Spirits too can be found in this man-made perdition, with the phantom-like holograms. Their spectral blue glow stands out sharply against the Madre's rusted hulk, with nothing else in the environment sharing that hue. Combined with their silence and complete immunity to any attack, they feel less like machines and more like ethereal, otherworldly entities. If the Sierra Madre is a kind of hell, then there are certainly sinners here, or at least their remains. Skeletons of past treasure hunters and unlucky pre-war visitors lie scattered everywhere. their stripped bones a stark reminder of how many souls this place has claimed. Messages scrawled across the wall tell their own story, ranging from warnings about traps and hazards, to sympathetic notes, to crude boasts and threats from those who ultimately turned on one another. The Sierra Madre is not a place anyone would want to find themselves in, and everything about the visuals reinforces that. So what would drive someone to come here? To willingly descend into something so close to hell? The answer is greed and obsession. Dead Money is very upfront about its themes. By design, it presents them in a heavy-handed manner to the player. From the very beginning with the intro video, you're given the moral the story wants to convey: the importance of letting go. Let go serves as the DLC's arc words, and the entire experience of Dead Money can be seen as a lesson on the dangers of greed and obsession, and the ruin it can lead to. This message is not just present in the characters, but also permeates the setting itself. As mentioned, the Sierra Madre is hell on earth, a labyrinthine death trap where masked monsters stalk the streets and the air itself is toxic. Escape feels impossible. It's the last place anyone would ever want to be, and it works as more than just a physical nightmare. It serves as a metaphor for where greed and obsession can drive a person. The Sierra Madre is the destination for those vices, the worst place imaginable. And what about the people you meet there? What kind of individuals end up in such a nightmare? First, there's the man who brought you to the Madre, the mind behind the heist you're forced to take part in, Father Elijah. Elijah is a man obsessed. His desire to crack open the Madre's secrets is all-consuming. He's spent months, if not years, at the resort trying to claim its treasures for his own twisted purpose. Realizing he cannot access the vault alone, he uses the broadcast system to lure treasure hunters in and the bomb callers to force them to work for him. Although you won't get his complete history from the man himself, you can piece together much of it from conversations with members of the Mojave Brotherhood. Elijah was once the elder of the Mojave chapter, before vanishing after the disastrous battle with the NCR at Helios 1, a defeat that left the chapter shattered. He believes the Madre is the key to getting what he wants.
Wipe the slate clean. Make the Mojave like it was meant to be, undisturbed by man. I'll send the cloud, the holograms, bring ruin in my hands until only I stand atop the Helios 1 tower again. I'll scour Hologam with the cloud, rain its walls with spears from the sun, with an army of old-world ghosts behind me, holograms all. I'll kill them until it's only me alone, in a quiet world, in a world that's nothing like what happened at Helios 1.
Elijah stands as a cautionary example of greed. He is too far gone, totally obsessed and consumed, and there is nothing that could change his mind. He has drawn countless people to the Madre, using them as disposable tools and discarding them once they outlive their usefulness. He is committed to this path to the very end, even if it kills him, and no matter how events ultimately unfold, his greed ensures his undoing. The heist Elijah has planned cannot be carried out by the courier alone, forcing you to work with 3 other unfortunate souls, each of them burdened by obsessions of their own. The first I'll cover has a long history with Father Elijah. Christine Royce is a former scribe from the Brotherhood of Steel. She's been tracking Elijah with the intent of killing him, being given the task after receiving word of Elijah's actions across the wastes. But that isn't her only motivation. Years earlier, Elijah used his authority to separate Christine from his protege Veronica, after the two had begun a romantic relationship. For Christine, it's more than just her duty, it's personal. You learn that she has been hunting Elijah for a long time, even following him into the Big Empty. There, she suffered greatly. Elijah trapped her inside a medical facility, where she had unwanted surgery performed on her that damaged her brain. This left Christine scarred and impaired her ability to read and write. Despite this, she continued her pursuit all the way to the Madre. In many ways, Christine mirrors Elijah. She is consumed by her need to find him and exact revenge. Even after being disfigured and brain damaged, she refused to let go. Her obsession has led her to the worst place imaginable, and even to more suffering. Like the courier, she is collared and forced to help the very man she came here to kill. Worse still, she was again tortured in a similar way to what happened at the Big Empty, locked in an autodock, with more non-consensual surgeries forced on her. When she's pulled out of the machine by the courier, her vocal cords have been mangled, leaving her mute. Will this be enough to finally break her obsession, or will it consume her completely, just as it does Elijah? The next character is the one responsible for putting Christine in that autodoc, Dean Domino. Dean Domino is not a good man. He radiates sleaze and ego in equal measure, dressed in his ruffled tux, his eyes hidden by large aviator sunglasses. A pre-war lounge singer, Dean's interest in the Madre was never truly about performing. It was about theft. Consumed by jealousy towards the resort's founder, Frederick Sinclair, Dean set out to rob him of everything. 2 centuries later, that jealousy has hardened into obsession. Dean wants the Madre's riches as a way to spite Sinclair, to finally bring him down in his own mind.
Do to me. What, weren't you listening? He thought he was better than me. Don't believe me? Look around. This big casino, this big colossal monument. Think it was for some woman? No. All ego, all self-righteous and lights, fit him perfect. Had to take him down a few pegs, bring him down to my level. Begin again? Some things you don't get up from. I was going to prove it.
He still dreams of cracking the vault for himself, despite Sinclair being long dead and the whole rest of the world he knew blasted away by atomic fire. His fixation ran so deep that he even blackmailed Vera Keyes with her chem addiction when she considered backing out of their original plan.
I could have gotten any leggy dame out of Hollywood to get out here and play Sinclair's heartstrings. You just happened to be the one I caught. And it was really your own fault. A little too much into the chems and meds and... Oh, shh, don't cry. Look, I'm not trying to hurt you. Just one last little job. A little less dirty. A little less messy. He trusts you, Vera. And so do I. After this, I promise you, all those other holotapes, they'll go away.
Even now, he continues scheming, mapping out the Madre and its defenses, convinced he can still pull off the heist. But all of this scheming is ultimately pointless. Sinclair's accounts are worthless in the wasteland, and there's little victory in outwitting a man long dead, especially one who had already uncovered Dean's plans and laid a trap for him. Dean embodies a more classic form of greed and envy, a simple covetousness, a desire for what others have, born from a fragile ego that could never tolerate another man's optimism in the face of hardship. Elijah's will may be the reason the courier ends up in the Sierra Madre, but the final character is the one who physically brought them into the nightmare. A Nightkin supermutant suffering from multiple personality disorder, Dog and God are an unusual pair, and each half is driven by a different obsession. Years ago, Dog was a soldier in the Master's army, and that time has shaped his personality. With a simple childlike mind, he is slavishly devoted to strong personalities, like the Master, and like Father Elijah. Submitting to Elijah's forceful presence, Dog accepts him as his new master and serves him unquestioningly. Even if he wanted to disobey, he couldn't. Driven by an inhuman hunger, Dog swallowed his own explosive collar, ensuring both his obedience and that of his other half. He roams the wasteland, capturing victims for Elijah, dragging them to the Madre, and doing so gladly, falling back on his old conditioning from his days in the Unity. He seeks Elijah's approval while feeding his endless appetite, devouring captives and ghost people alike. Dog's obsession is simple and primal, to satisfy his hunger and relive his time serving the Master and the Lieutenant years ago. And in serving Elijah, he can do both, much to the dismay of his other half. Buried deep within the mutant's psyche for years, God only recently emerged as a distinct personality, awakened by Elijah's arrival. God sees himself as Dog's conscience and voice of reason. For years he tried to restrain Dog from within, but Elijah's influence has made the task far more difficult.
I've watched over Dog for so long, tried to stop him from hurting others, killing others. Quiet that mindless, howling instinct of his. He doesn't understand. He has the brain of a child. He knows when he does wrong. He just can't help himself.
God's obsession is control. He wants to restrain Dog, to prevent him from giving in to his most violent and base urges. He is so fixated on this that he will imprison Dog, both physically, locking him in a cell, and mentally, using his commanding voice to force him back.
Dog, back in the cage.
Together, Dog and God represent a constant internal struggle between hunger and control. A personal conflict between two opposing minds trapped in a single body, each trying to drag the other toward its own extreme. Each of these four characters is entangled in greed, each struggling with an obsession that, in one way or another, has led them to the Sierra Madre. The entire first act of Dead Money sets these themes up as a lesson. The final act then presents a choice, to take that lesson to heart, or to succumb to the same greed that consumed the others. The Sierra Madre Casino is the climax of Dead Money. After triggering the Gala Event and making a manic dash to the casino gates, you're knocked unconscious by the security system. When you wake, you're given a new task, dealing with your fellow collared companions. In terms of gameplay, this section shifts your focus towards the Madre's security systems rather than the ghost people. While some of them do follow you up from the villa, and can still terrorize you as you move through the lobby, you'll more often be contending with speakers, radios, and holograms. Once you restore power to the casino, Elijah orders you to confront the others. This is where you have options on how to take care of them, influenced by your earlier interactions throughout the DLC. You can try to resolve things peacefully and keep them alive, or you can follow Elijah's example and treat them as tools that have outlived their usefulness and are therefore expendable. Starting with Dog and God in the casino's kitchen, you find that Dog has opened the gas valves and intends to burn the entire casino to the ground. After shutting off the gas, you can take the simplest route and just put the beast down. But speech checks open up a few other options. You can convince him to pull on his neck chain hard enough to kill himself. You can allow one of his personalities to take over for good and permanently suppress the other. Or with the highest check, play psychologist and merge the two into a single unified mind.
You were there all the time. All the time. You were there. And so close. Together. Who are you? What is this place? I feel as if I've woken up. I don't know you, yet I feel like I do, and a feeling of gratitude. Forgive me, I'm wounded. This chain, this bear trap on my arm. How did I even get this far with these wounds? The pain is excruciating. I need to rest for a moment. Thank you for whatever you have done. I will remain here. Need to get my strength back.
Next on the list is the sleazy lounge singer. Dean is waiting in the Tampico, the casino's theater. Getting to him means weaving through an obstacle course of radios and speakers that threaten to trigger your collar, while also avoiding the laser fire of roaming security holograms. Once you finally confront Domino, your earlier interactions with him in the villa determine how things can play out, and you might be forced to kill the jerk to progress. Certain checks you can make in dialogue with him can lower his mood towards you, such as harming his fragile ego, or threatening him to stay on the roof for his gala position.
You wouldn't. You need me to strike up the sparking chords there. Breaking my legs isn't any way to get me to dance. You wouldn't. No, yeah, you would. I would, if I thought you screaming wouldn't attract more of the locals. All right, I'll stay here for now. But you leave me high and dry, make a run for the Sierra Madre, you'll pay for it, I promise you.
Picking those responses locks you into a fight at the Tampico, forcing you to take the key from his corpse. If you avoided provoking him, however, you can resolve the encounter peacefully, leave the theater without bloodshed, and even have Dean open up further about his plans to rob the vault, his hatred of Sinclair, and his blackmail of Vera Keys. The final companion has you headed up to the suites. Christine is in Vera Keys' room at the far end of the floor. Reaching her means slipping past hostile holograms of the long-dead starlet, while dodging radio signals, If you've maintained a good relationship with Christine, the two of you can calmly discuss how to deal with Elijah and what's required to access the vault. But this encounter can change significantly based on your earlier choices. If you threatened to put her back in the autodock, or locked her in the switching station elevator, when you arrive on the suites level, you'll find that the former scribe has laid out traps for you and taunts you over the speakers.
Elijah? Or... No, it's you. Even better. This is Christine. Voice back. You got off on the wrong floor. You're trapped. Hope you can make it past security. I've been looking forward to taking care of you since the Gala Event. You and Elijah were working together this whole time. Should have known. Just from your actions. You have his outlook on things. Hope you aren't dead yet. Although I'm sure my caller would let me know. I could just detonate it now, but saving it for someone special. So come on and get me, bitch. I'll have this floor's security dissect you like an auto dock. Leaving me in that goddamn elevator in the dark? You'll beg me to do the same to you while the holograms are tracing lasers across your face.
Making it to Christine in this state will require a speech check to avoid killing her. However you resolve things with Christine, your last stop will be into the depths of the casino. Finally, after surviving the villa and dealing with your partners in crime one way or another, you reach the heart of the casino, the Sierra Madre Vault. It's a gauntlet of high-tech security. Deadly holograms and energy fields block your path, signal-jamming speakers set your collar beeping, and even the toxic cloud has seeped into parts of the interior. It's the DLC's final gameplay challenge, and not one you can simply shoot your way through. You have to evade, outmaneuver, and disable the obstacles in your path. Overcoming the security, you enter the vault itself, and inside you find the final test of dead money. 37 gold bars lie there for the taking, each worth a fortune in caps. A Wasteland King's ransom. The problem is their weight. At 35 pounds apiece, they weigh a total of 1,295 pounds. It's impossible to carry them all. You can try, but the courier will never escape the vault weighed down by all that metal. And so, do you take the lesson that the entirety of dead money has been beating you over the head with? Do you let go? Some players don't. Greed takes over, and they look for exploits or cheats to haul out every bar. They toggle God mode, or load the gold onto a certain someone's corpse and drag it to the exit. It feels like an act of defiance. They suffered through this entire hellscape nightmare casino, and by God are they going to take every bar with them. For me, I never really saw the point. I only ever take a few, just enough to leave unencumbered. They end up being a little trophy of my trip to the Madre, usually tossed haphazardly into whatever safe house I'm using. For most players, however, the lesson is clear, and now having reached the vault, you've started thinking of ways on how you're going to get out, and deal with Elijah. There are a few non-standard endings here. Opening Sinclair's accounts on the vault terminal will result in a game over as the vault locks permanently, trapping the courier inside. A trap originally meant for Dean. Another outcome stems from speaking with Father Elijah while having low NCR reputation. You can choose to join the Mad Elder and devastate the Mojave and the NCR with the tech of the Sierra Madre. Avoiding these paths leads you to lure Elijah down into the vault to confront you directly. Several skill checks allow you to persuade or manipulate him into entering the vault, where you'll have two options to rid yourself of him. The straightforward option is to fight and kill him, and then sprint for the elevator and let the end slides roll. The other option is to quietly slip away, backtracking through the security gauntlet and escaping while Elijah believes he's about to trap you. I've always liked this option. It's the ultimate irony for someone as obsessed as Elijah. After spending so long chasing the Sierra Madre, sacrificing countless lives in pursuit of its secrets, he finally gets exactly what he wanted. Locked inside, the Sierra Madre vault is his, and he gets to enjoy its secrets for the rest of his life, however short that might be.
You. I know you can hear me. When you die, courier, I'll be waiting. Your grave's going to look just like this vault. When you die, I'll be waiting here. The Sierra Madre. Waiting.
With Elijah dealt with, the ending slides roll, showing you the aftermath of your choices at the Madre. Who lived, who died, and what became of them. Afterward, you find yourself back where you started at the fountain, and can make your way back to the Mojave, leaving the Sierra Madre behind for good, hopefully having taken its lesson to heart, or perhaps with a bag full of gold bars. Dead Money is a fantastic experience. As I said at the start of this video, I love it. The gameplay, the story, the setting, the characters. It's my favorite part of New Vegas, and with how well it executes nearly everything it sets out to do, I consider it to be some of the very best the Fallout series has to offer. If you've made it this far, you probably agree at least in part. This video was mostly just a way for me to put my thoughts into words about something I genuinely enjoy. Dead Money's lesson is to learn when to let go, and as cliche as it sounds, I won't be letting go of it anytime soon. Thank you for watching.